to the Northwest Bruin Football Show. I'm the head coach, Josh Robinson, and we're here to talk about Bruin football. And fortunately, we get another week, not just concerning the Cedartown game, but we get to go play a playoff game. I'm really proud of our young men. We've had so many injuries. We were dealing with sickness this past Friday, and again, I can't say enough about our coaching staff and our players and their fight to maintain and move on. And injuries are part of football. It happens to every single team. There's no team as healthy today as they were on July the 24th when we started. But we had an exceptional amount of season-ending injuries, especially concentrated around our offensive line, and our guys have continued to fight and get better that have replaced those guys and done a really good job for us. We returned to postseason play like for the 10th out of the 11th previous seasons, and our streak of 7 in a row state playoff games, 9 in a row of postseason play was broken last year with a really good group, and it was disappointing, I think, for everybody. Not the kids. We weren't disappointed in them, but it's just a disappointing ending and result. This year our guys found a way to win those games that were necessary, and we're able to get in the playoffs, so we go play Stevenson High School. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. We faced a really good team. I think everybody around here knows Cedartown High School is kind of, Nick Chubb is probably the biggest NFL guy, but they've had multiple guys go play Clemson, Georgia. They had a Georgia commit out there against us amongst several other Division I guys, and they're just a really talented team. And we've got guys coughing. We had a couple of starters out with flu B. We've just had some issues amongst our football team with health, and usually that concerns injuries and bumps and bruises. But this was actual, medical health. Like we were not healthy at halftime. It made me feel proud of our guys, and it made me feel bad for them too, because it looked like a mass unit at a military. We've got guys throwing up, one guy's coughing, other guys having to use the restroom. It was a scene nonetheless, and I don't say all that for anything other than to say I'm really proud of our guys and the effort that they gave. We played Cedartown High School as tough as we could under the conditions that we did. We still made some mistakes, and we put in a new defense for these guys, and our guys were outstanding. So there was a lot of things that went in that there is to be proud of. One of those is Gavin Knuckles. He continues to improve every week. We're so happy with where he's at in this point in his career and this point in the season. He's thrown those one-on-one balls. He's got more confidence. He's a really smart scrambler. And I don't say this enough about him. I said it in the locker room I think 2 or 3 games in a row. I think he's a really tough kid. He scrambles and moves, and all quarterbacks at all levels take hits, and he takes hits and get up and keeps on trucking. And he's just a really talented kid, and ended up on the night 13 for 20 with 173 and a touchdown. Will continue to improve as time goes. Rushing wise, he didn't end up with that many yards, but elongated a lot of plays for us and had a couple of really good scrambles on the night for us. One really long one that ended up early in the game that could have kept that game around 7-7, and unfortunately we got a holding call on us that brought it back and made it tougher to go score. On the night, between our 3 running backs, we only mustered up 30 yards against Cedartown on about 13 carries, which is not great yardage, but not terrible yards per carry. But just running was a tough sledding, I guess you would call it. Cameron Collins and Mason Mays and Jacob Lee all did a really good job for us, with Jacob playing a ton on the defensive side with some of our defensive guys under duress, we'll call it, because of physical injuries and sickness. Hudson Gray on the night ended up with 5 catches for 92 yards and a touchdown. Again, Hudson's a really talented player, caught a really long ball. Does a lot of things for us. If we're going to be successful against Stevenson, he's going to play a large role in it. And then we have Isaiah Foster, who's just, it's unbelievable how physical he is at wide receiver. I've coached football at Northwest for 21 years. I've been the head coach for 13. I'm a defensive guy. I think everybody kind of knows that. And it's really tough for me to come up with somebody that we've played against or that we've coached that is as physical as him. He yearns for contact. He wants to go score the touchdown, but when contact's coming, typically receivers, are trying to get away from it. And he does sometimes and makes some good moves, but man, he will lower his shoulder. And I thought he did that several times. That's going to play a big role in our game plan against Stevenson too, and everybody we play from here on out. He's just a really talented player that we're thankful for. And then Austin Cooley and Kendris Douglas did a really good job for us. Didn't catch any passes, but overall on the night did a really good job blocking and running their routes. And again, this is one of those nights. Those guys, I don't think Cooley's maybe had one other game where he didn't catch a pass, but Kinkin's caught a pass every single game, and this was their game where there was a low number. They were really giving us the outside receivers, really taking care of our inside receivers, and that's the way it goes, and that's the way it goes in our offense. At this time, let's take a break and look at the first half highlights. Starting out on offense here, and we run the jet sweep with Isaiah Foster as he gets off a couple of blocks and comes in, and Cedartown's a very intense team, and we had to match their intensity. I thought that was not a great spot there, but regardless, we ended up punting the ball away. Hudson does a good job, and on the first play, they kind of squeaked through there and gained some yards. There you can see Caden Ramsey taking on a lot of people, Dominique running through some blockers, Raven Foster, Dawson Whitmore, Sam Crossan, all some guys that are getting in. We didn't play the edge very well at times, which was one of our concerns with what we were trying to do to stop them off tackle, but we made some adjustments. The game went and played a lot better. There you can see Dominic Johnson, Tony Bernecki, both in on some tackles for us. We're waiting a little bit there instead of going downhill, which allows them to kind of pick up a few extra yards. We're fitting more physical. There's a good job by Lucas Amos before he's hurting out. They end up scoring on that particular drive to go up 7-0, and then really from there it's kind of a stalemate for a long time until there's a couple minutes left in the second quarter. As a good ball by Gavin. Our O-line did so much better protecting than we did the week 4 versus Central against equally talented players. We need that kind of effort this week. Very dangerous right here play as this young man is a very good returner and gets yards there. Our theory in the kicking games, we're going to try to kick the ball away from people, and occasionally we miss and they make good plays, but we have to go make tackles. There's a very good play by Hudson Gray, and I believe you got Adrian Madrigal and I think Tony Bernecki in on the tackle there. There's Caden Ramsey taking on 4 or 5 people, throwing his body in, being physical. Again, a very, to use a catchword amongst guys, a very hybrid guy. There's Sam Crossan where he needs to be, but he ends up missing the tackle. But great hustle by Jacob Lee and Tony Bernecki as they chase him down on the sidelines. And then we have there's the kid that's committed to Georgia, and he cuts back, and we're right there. The quarter turns over, and we get a big turnover right here. We hit him, we knock the ball loose, and it scoops out. And I think we were 1 tackle away from probably scoring a touchdown there because Hudson scoops it up. Good job by our front 7. There's Cameron Collins fighting for some tough yards, running really hard for us. Good job by our O-line as they're working down the field. Play action, good pass by Gavin. I thought he threw a couple of slants really, really good. A couple that were caught and a couple that were not. We're throwing a quick screen out here, and we're getting down, and Isaiah's fighting for some yards there as we get up, and then we're throwing the short hitch again as he gets loose and ends up picking up some yardage. Thankfully, he didn't get hurt there as his knee was kind of twisted up a little. Good pressure by them, but not a terrible job by our O-line protecting, but a really, really smart play by Gavin, and there's the hold call. Just unfortunate that we received it, but it is what it is. And we come back, and Gavin scrambles and avoids traffic, and just, he's kind of like Houdini. He finds a way to get loose from these people and turn a moderate to big loss into a big gain. We end up going for it on 4th down and getting stopped. There's Raven squaring up 27 in the hole, doing a good job of getting that tackle. Caden Ramsey, again, we're supposed to scrape outside, keep our outside shoulder free. There you see Walker Jones on the tackle. We just didn't fit exactly great, but now you can see they run the very same play on the very next play, and our guys fit off the edge and are playing hard and getting to where we're supposed to. They almost hit us with the bubble and go early here. We played it well by our safety, and we're able to tackle them and get them out of bounds, and they're running the trap. And We got Jacob Lee and Adrian Madrigal, and I believe Sam Cross and all involved to make them punt. A good job by our guys after giving up a first down right after the change of possession, and Hudson fair catches it, and we come back with a hitch to Isaiah Foster and get a little extra push out of bounds by the defender there. Jacob Lee with the carry does a good job. Again, a young man's playing both ways for us, that one of these days he's probably going to be playing 140 out of 160 plays in a game because he's talented. Good pressure by Dawson Whitmore. Dominic Johnson applies more pressure. They end up scoring. There are only a couple of minutes left. They try to go for two, and Chance Whitfield with the 2-point conversion interception. Ultimately, they score one more on a offensive pass interference that was not called, and ultimately the Bulldogs go up at halftime 19 to the Bruins 0. At this time, let's take a break. Welcome back to the Bruin Football Show. This is Josh Robinson. I'm the head coach, and let's talk a little bit about our defensive guys. I've already mentioned we put in a new defense, and to a degree, thankful that we did. Just from a personnel standpoint, we did it to stop Cedartown High School, slow them down. Really good, and they've always done a tremendous job. Really as good as I see about getting up on your linebackers and making your linebackers, every one of them, fight off of a block and make a tackle every single play. And so we went with an extra linebacker. Again, we had DB sick. Cade Parker came up and missed the game the day of us going down there. It really was a big blow for our defense, big blow for him. But we had other guys step in that we're proud of, that we're going to see contributions going forward in their football career at Northwest, and we also had guys that are seniors to step in and do a good job. So it was nice to see that on the night. Starting out with our D-line, Miles Mays had 4 tackles, tackle for a loss. Again, we put him in a position to where he was going to occupy a lot of blockers and make plays for us, and he still came up with a productive night despite being doubled and triple teamed all night. Again, that's a testament to how talented the young man is. Adrian Madrigal had 3 tackles on the night. Really good job by him. He was our nose and rotated in a little at D end, and now he's kind of went to defensive end almost full time as Tony Bernecki occupies nose since Avery O'Neill has been injured. So Adrian is grading out better. He's playing better. He's so slippery out there. He gives his heart and soul to our football team every single week, and we're very thankful for that. And then Tony Bernecki, again, a guy that we had playing linebacker and defensive line, and it was a really tough young man that we wanted on the field, and we don't want him to get lost in the rush of things, and we wanted him to play, and he's really found a home on the defensive line, does an outstanding job. I say this every week. He's a tough wrestler, a really good one, a state competitor, and comes out and really plays hard for us, and probably played his best football game that he's had for us. He had 7 tackles and a tackle for a loss on defense. Then he had 2 more special teams tackles. Again, said it before, he very well could be the best special teams player that we've ever had here with the amount of tackles that he makes on those different levels that he plays. We'll see, a senior for us, came in with a couple of tackles and tackle for a loss, continues to work and provide good relief for our guys, and just a really solid senior that we want. And then Evan Hand and Levi Crawford came in as well for us and provided some good plays and positive productivity for us. At linebacker, Caden Ramsey had 10 tackles and 2 pressures, and Caden is such a unique person to coach in the aspect he's able to go up, and he's so physically strong, and he's built really well that he can go up and play the offensive lineman, and we can use him kind of like a defensive lineman, and then we can bring him off the ball, and he can play linebacker. I think for him, on a personal level, he likes the linebacker aspect of what he does. But he's such a team player. He goes up there and plays an instrumental role. And he was on the line of scrimmage almost all night, getting doubled and triple teamed again as they're pulling people. And he made some of the good plays that other people made the tackles on. Caden was directly involved in because he took on his guy, and two pullers, didn't give any ground, and that allowed other people to flow and make the tackle. And he still ended up with a super productive night. Sam Crossan on the night ended up with 10 tackles total, 7 at outside linebacker and 3 at inside linebacker. Sam was kind of the, like, as far as a person, he was the extra person that we brought in and kind of removed defensive back from our scheme. And then unfortunately we had Dawson Whitmore who got sick, and Lucas Amos got sick and was hurt, and Sam had to move from inside to outside, and we're going to talk about some other names. Sam's just a really talented player. He's a jack of all trades and really good at a lot of different things. I'll be surprised if he's not a linebacker starter next year, or at least heavy contributor over there for us. He just does too much and runs the football well, and he's going to play a big role versus Stevenson High School as well. Dawson Whitmore, again, had 3 tackles on the night. I can't say enough about the kid. I mean, 3 tackles is not some outlandish number, but if you saw how sick he was during the week, his ability to come out and force himself to try and play. He's lost a ton of weight, sick at halftime, wanting to go out and play. He's really what Bruin football's about, really, at the end of the day. He gives his heart and soul to this team, and especially as a defensive player. He's not the tallest, he's not the heaviest, he's not the fastest, but he's just a good football player that cares about what we're doing. Dominic Johnson's our next guy, inside linebacker, 14 tackles on the night. Played really well, often took on blockers. Maybe missed a couple just because the nature of the offense that we face is something unique, but did a really good job for us flowing downhill, and he's such a strong, talented young man. We're thankful we have him for not only the rest of this season, but next year as well. Jacob Lee, we can't say enough about him. He's a running back and a linebacker, and he's going to contribute to both sides of the ball and in the rest of his Bruin career. He's just too hard of a worker not to find a way on the field. He ended up with 5 tackles on the night, coming in, being really smart. He's intelligent. He sells his soul every play to run to the football, which is really important. And then Griffin McCutcheon. Griffin's hurt right now. We're hoping to have him back. He's played a role on special teams all year and some spot time on defense, but I thought he came in and provided us some really good moments on defense, and we certainly hope to have him back as we go into next week's playoff game. And then we have Hudson Gray, had a fumble recovery and 2 tackles. Again, already mentioned him. We could talk about him forever as well. Just a really talented guy that affects both sides of the ball, and I say it every week, he's really bought into being a defensive and offensive player, which has been super important to us. Raven Foster had a good solid night, had 3 tackles. Raven starts the game, and he'll tell you this, he doesn't tackle as well as he's capable of, and then we pull him out, and he goes in and does a great job. 27 is the kid that's committed to Georgia, and Raven missed a tackle on him earlier and didn't look particularly good. We pull him out, and he's like, "Coach, I'll do better next time." The next time he goes in, it's him and the Georgia commit one-on-one, and Raven squares him up and tackles him out of bounds. And it's a good play. Raven really cares about what we're doing. We vote for team captains, and he was right on that cusp of becoming a team captain as a junior, which is a big honor, and he does a good job for us. Chance Whitfield had an interception on a 2-point conversion and 3 tackles on the night. Chance has played, for most part for us, very consistent throughout the year. He's a really athletic kid. One of his tackles, he took a wide receiver and kind of forced him into making the tackler on the ball carrier as he was getting held, and pushed him and ran him into the ball carrier. The touchdown was scored on him that there was full extension of both arms that, in my opinion, should have been pass interference, but Chance could have really declined after that and pouted, and he was upset like we all were, but he went back out and continued to play well for us. And then a couple of young guys we're going to talk about that you're going to hear their name throughout next season. I'll be surprised if you don't. Walker Jones, a really talented kid who's came along for us and ended up with 4 tackles on the night, had to start in Cade's place with very little practice with the first team defense, and that's a big deal. And I thought Walker did an outstanding job, and Coach Sams and I at DB feel like he's came a long way and has a chance to be a heavy contributor. And then really Friday night solidified that. When you can go out and play that well against those kind of players without tons of practice, that says a lot about you as a football player and the talent you have. And then Stone Hobbs is a freshman that came in for us and ended up making a tackle, rotated in our special teams. He's just an outstanding young man. I've known Stone since he was a younger boy, and he's played different sports for me, and he's always been the worker, and that work ethic has turned him into contributing on varsity, and don't be surprised to hear his name on both sides of the ball over the next 3 years. At this time, let's take a break and look at the second half highlights. Here we are, Jacob Lee blitzing here. They run the toss. Great job by Dawson Whitmore dipping and ripping outside. We'd like to fit the edge a little bit tighter, but Dominique flows and makes a good tackle. Sam crossing comes off the edge exactly how we want and makes a big hit. We do want him to wrap up and get that tackle, but our guys inside are there to clean it up. There's Dawson Whitmore again in the second half fighting. Again, sick as a dog and out there making tackles in on the plays, and as well as Tony Bernecki and Miles Mays. Those guys just continue to fight and play hard for the Bruins, and that's something as a parent I hope these guys' parents are proud of. That's something as a community everyone should be proud of, is the fight that these guys show. Good play by Isaiah Foster as he comes back and makes a tackle, and we throw the screen out there to Hudson Gray. Not much room, but still a pretty good job by King Ken. Even if he stays on a little longer, it's better, but still pretty good job blocking by him. And Austin Cooley, good tackle here by Chance Whitfield with Sam Crossan. We end up getting a stop. And we're really backed up on that stop. We end up having to punt away, and they get good field position. There's Griffin McCutcheon in on the tackle. Here's Griffin blitzing and kind of filling that hole, and Caden Ramsey, Sam Crossan, Miles Mays all in on the tackle. There's the same names. There's Griffin makes a shoestring tackle. Probably should have scraped a little bit wider, but still does a good job for us. I believe they ended up scoring on that one. Throw the hitch out there to Isaiah Foster, and there you go. You can see the physicality as he is fighting and pushing to get more yards. There's Gavin extending plays, working his magic, is able to get through and almost pick up a first down. Ultimately, a couple of downs later, we end up having to punt the ball, and Hudson gets off a really good punt, and pretty good coverage here by our guys. We kind of get blocked in the back early, and it doesn't get called, but fortunately the second one does. A really good tackle by Tony Bernecki on special teams as he comes back. Here, again, we almost give up that edge, but Miles Mays is flowing across. Chance Whitfield, I believe I saw Sam Crossan, all of those guys in there. Very good tackle by Dominique. He just needs to keep his feet running. Ultimately, they had scored another touchdown for it to be 33. They went for it on fourth down. This is their starting quarterback with Caden Ramsey and others applying pressure. Here Dominique's making the tackle at the line of scrimmage, getting them going backwards, which is what we really want to do. And then a good flow by Jacob Lee and a finish-up tackle by Sam Crossan right there. As they go, they're running the counter again. Dominique and Miles are right there, and Miles gets to him before Dominique can. And that kind of spells the end of the night for our defensive starters. It's late enough in the game that it's going to be tough to come back, and we still have a playoff game to look for. But our offense gets something going there with a long pass. Very good play by Hudson on the ball. Very good throw by Gavin on the touchdown and release of the ball. We have a few of our guys still in there as we're starting to sub and get our backups and our young guys a little bit more time. There's a good play by Will C as he flows across and makes a tackle, and then we have Jacob Lee making a really good play here and getting a tackle, and we end up making a punt. And they get it off here, and it takes a good Cedartown bounce as it gets down to around the 30 for our offense as we bring in our other guys. But ultimately, we end up getting stopped there and finish out the game with Cedartown 33, Northwest 7. At this time, let's take a break. Welcome back to Bruin Football. Let's talk a little bit about our game this week. We have a very talented running back coming in that gets a lot of accolades. And as usual, when there's a good running back, there's almost always a very good offensive line. They're really big. We're going to look really small out there on defense compared to those guys. But our guys have fought and battled on every team this year defensively, and I'll be surprised if they don't go out and battle again. Despite we're probably going to give up close to 100 pounds on average across our front seven versus their offense. And I will be surprised if we're not sticking our nose in there and rallying to the ball like we have all year long to stop the run. And then they have some talented receivers that they throw to, and a very capable quarterback. And they're the number one seed out of that region. There were basically 3 of them that were tied. One of them lost in kind of an upset that allowed them to take the region. They were down to Westminster by a couple of scores and scored in bunches late, and I think scored the go-ahead touchdown with less than a minute and a half left in the game. That was weeks ago, but ended up being the region clinching win. Defensively, they're extremely fast. They play really deep. There's some things that we are going to have to play well, but we think that we can take advantage of over there. And I have all the confidence in the world in our kids going out. It's going to be a tough game. I think we're going to have a chance to compete and win this football game, but we're going to have to execute as good as we have all year. They're a different team, but in ways similar to Central. For those of you that aren't familiar with Stevenson High School, we beat Stevenson out here 3 years ago when they rolled in with like 12 Division I guys. It's going to be a similar type thing. If we hope to win, it's going to be a nip and tuck down at the last minute. I believe Preston Neely caught a touchdown against Stevenson in 2020 to allow us to advance to the second round. We're gonna be in a fight if things go well. That comes down to who makes the most plays and who makes the least number of mistakes. So come on out. We're playing on Saturday at Halford Stadium, and it's in southeast Atlanta near Clarkston, Georgia. We're playing at 7:30. They had a basketball event that led to the game being later in the day because typically Saturday games are played a little earlier. I know there's other college football games and stuff like that that are on, but come out and support these young men. We're hoping to get another week, but at this time of the year, somebody's going to win and advance, somebody's going to lose and go home, and these young men need all that support that they can, no matter which side of that they end up with. Until next week, this is Josh Robinson with Northwest Football.